There's a good chance the most powerful tool for saving your dying houseplants is sitting in your medicine cabinet right now in a plain brown bottle for about $1. We're talking about hydrogen peroxide. Most of us only think of it as the stuff that fizzes on a scraped knee. But here's the thing that makes it almost magical for plants. Hydrogen peroxide is just water with one extra oxygen atom bolted on. Its chemical formula is H2O2, while water is H2O. That single extra oxygen atom is unstable, and the moment the peroxide touches living tissue or organic matter in your soil, it lets go of that atom in a burst. That's the fizzing you see, and that little burst of oxygen is bad news for the soft-bodied pests and the suffocating, rotting roots that are killing your plants, but a lifeline for everything you actually want to keep alive. Overwatering is the #1 way people accidentally kill their houseplants, and the two villains that follow it everywhere are root rot and fungus gnats. The good news, you can fight both with that one cheap bottle. So before you toss another plant in the trash, grab your hydrogen peroxide and let's get into it. Number 1. The 1 to 4 soil drench that wipes out fungus gnat larvae. Let's start with the trick that gets the most love online because it actually works when you do it right. Fungus gnats are those tiny black flies that hover around your pots like they pay rent. The flying adults are annoying, but they are not the real problem. The damage is happening underground. The adults lay eggs in moist soil, and the larvae that hatch live in the top 2 to 3 inches of your potting mix, where they feed on fine root hairs and decaying organic matter. In seedlings and young plants, that root hair munching can stunt growth and quietly kill the plant from below. This is where hydrogen peroxide shines. The larvae are extremely soft-bodied and they are living right in the zone the peroxide can reach. The fix is a soil drench. Mix 1 part standard 3% hydrogen peroxide with 4 parts water. That gives you roughly a 0.6% solution, which is strong enough to kill larvae on contact but gentle enough for just about any houseplant. For a single plant, that is about a 1/4 cup of peroxide to 1 cup of water. Pour it slowly over the entire soil surface like you are watering normally until it just starts to drain out the bottom. You will hear it fizz. That fizzing is the peroxide releasing oxygen and rupturing the cell membranes of the larvae in seconds. University extension trials have shown a 1 to 4 drench can knock down larval populations by up to 80% in just 2 treatments. Number 2. Time the drench. Right by letting the soil dry first. Here's the part most people skip, and it is the reason so many folks end up online saying that hydrogen peroxide did not work for me. The secret is not a stronger mix. It is the timing. Before you do that drench from trick number 1, you want to let the top 2 inches of soil dry out completely. There are 2 reasons this matters so much. First, fungus gnat larvae love damp soil. When the surface dries out, the larvae are forced to congregate and they become far more exposed to the treatment when you finally pour it on. Second, if your soil is already soggy and you add a cup of liquid on top, you're just overwatering the plant you're trying to save, which feeds the exact problem you're fighting. So let it get dry and a little crusty on top, then drench. And here is the other half of the secret. 1 treatment is never enough. Peroxide is brutal on larvae, but it does not reliably kill every egg, and those eggs keep hatching every 4 to 6 days. If you drench once and quit, you will have a fresh batch of gnats within the week. The fix is to repeat the drench at every watering for 2 to 3 weeks so you catch each new wave of larvae as it hatches. Pair that with letting the soil dry between waterings and you starve the whole life cycle out. Number 3. The root soak rescue for plants with root rot. Now let's talk about the bigger emergency. Your plant is wilting, the leaves are yellowing, and when you slide it out of the pot, the roots are brown, black, mushy, and smell a little like a swamp. That's root rot. and it is usually caused by overwatering. Soggy soil starves the roots of oxygen, and water molds with names like Pythium and Phytophthora move in and feast on the dying tissue. This is the most compelling job hydrogen peroxide does for plants because it attacks the problem on two fronts at once. The oxygen burst kills the pathogens, and it floods oxygen back into a root zone that was suffocating. But you cannot just pour peroxide on top and hope. You have to do surgery first. Gently remove the plant from its pot and rinse the soil off the roots under a stream of water. Then, with clean disinfected scissors or shears, cut away every root that is brown, black, or mushy. Keep cutting until you are left with only white, firm, healthy roots. This step is non-negotiable because peroxide treats the symptom, not the source. If you leave rotted tissue behind, the infection just keeps spreading. Once the bad roots are gone, soak the remaining healthy roots in a diluted hydrogen peroxide solution. A 1:4 ratio of 3% hydrogen peroxide to water works well, and you only need to soak for about 5 to 10 minutes. You will see some fizzing as it goes after the lingering microbes. Do not leave it in there for an hour to be safe because too much exposure can stress the healthy roots you just fought to save. Then move on to the next step. Number 4. Repot in fresh, airy soil and give one disinfecting drench. Saving the roots is only half the battle. If you put your freshly cleaned plant right back into the same soggy, contaminated soil, you have accomplished nothing. After the roots soak, gently pat the roots dry and repot the plant in fresh, well-draining potting mix. This is the moment to fix the underlying cause. Mix in something to improve aeration and drainage like perlite, vermiculite, or horticultural charcoal. These create air pockets in the soil so the roots can actually breathe, which is the single best way to make sure root rot never comes back. Make absolutely sure your pot has drainage holes. A pot without drainage is a death trap for any plant prone to rot. Once it is repotted, you can give the fresh soil one light disinfecting drench. Mix about 1 tablespoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide into 1 cup of water and water it in gently without soaking it into a swamp. This cleans up any pathogens that hitched a ride into the new pot and gives the roots an early shot of oxygen to encourage new growth. Just remember, this is a one-time helper, not a routine. After this, water normally and let the soil dry between drinks. Number 5. The oxygen boost drench for overwatered, struggling roots. Sometimes your plant isn't fully rotted yet, it's just sad. The soil's been staying wet too long, the leaves are drooping, and the whole thing feels waterlogged and stuck. This is the early warning stage, before full-blown rot sets in, and it's the perfect time for a gentle oxygen boost drench. When soil stays soggy, the air pockets fill with water and the roots literally can't get oxygen, which is what invites anaerobic bacteria and rot in the first place. A weak peroxide drench temporarily spikes the oxygen level in that root zone and helps the roots bounce back from the stress. For this gentler preventive use, dial the mix way down. A ratio of about 1 part 3% peroxide to 32 parts water gives you roughly a 0.1% solution, which delivers that oxygen lift without any risk of burning fine roots. Water it in like normal. The peroxide will break down completely into plain water and oxygen within a day or two, leaving zero residue behind. One honest caveat here because it matters: peroxide has no lasting power. It fully decomposes within 24 to 72 hours, so this is a tool you reach for when you have a specific problem, not a thing you pour on every week just in case. Overusing it actually works against you because it also knocks back the beneficial microbes in healthy soil. Use it reactively, fix your watering habits, and let the soil's natural biology recover. Number 6. The foliar spray for fungus and powdery mildew. Peroxide isn't only an underground fighter. It can also tackle the fuzzy white and gray problems that show up on your leaves, Powdery mildew and other surface fungi can creep across foliage, especially when air is humid and circulation is poor. Because hydrogen peroxide is an oxidizer, a light spray can damage fungal spores on contact and help stop the spread before it takes over the plant. For a routine foliar spray, mix about 1 tablespoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide into a gallon of water, which lands around a very mild 0.05 to 0.1% solution. For mildew that is already settled in on tougher, mature leaves, you can bump it up to about 3 tablespoons per gallon. Spray in the early morning or the evening, never in the middle of a sunny day, because midday sun breaks the peroxide down before it can do its job and can also scorch wet leaves. A few important notes. This works best as an early stage treatment or preventive spray, since peroxide sits on the surface and cannot travel inside the plant to cure a deep, established infection. And go easy on the concentration with tender new growth. Seedlings, ferns, and orchids. Because the same oxidizing punch that kills spores can also burn delicate young leaves. Apply every 3 to 4 days until the mildew clears, and you will usually win. Number 7. Sterilize your pots, tools, and trays to stop a comeback. Here is the trick that ties everything together, because beating root rot or gnats once means nothing if you reinfect your plant a week later. Fungal pathogens and pest eggs cling to everything. The pot you just emptied, the scissors you used to trim those rotted roots, your seed starting trays, the saucer under the plant. If you reuse any of that gear without cleaning it, you are handing the problem a free ride back to your healthy plants. This is where peroxide is the easiest tool in the box. For hard surfaces, you do not need to dilute it. Straight 3% hydrogen peroxide right from the bottle can be sprayed or wiped onto pots, tools, shears, and trays to sanitize them. Let it fizz and sit for a minute, then rinse. It is especially smart to wipe down your shears between plants when you are cutting away rotted roots, so you're not spreading an infection from a sick plant to a healthy one with the same blade. And while we are talking prevention, the same logic applies to seeds. Soaking seeds in 3% hydrogen peroxide for a few hours before planting, then rinsing them, can help knock out surface pathogens that cause damping of disease in seedlings and may even give germination a little nudge. A clean start is a strong start. A few safety rules before you go quickly, because these matter. Always stick with standard 3% hydrogen peroxide, the brown bottle drugstore kind. The stronger 12% and 35% concentrations can cause serious root burn at normal gardening dilutions and require very different math. Never ever mix hydrogen peroxide with bleach, because that combination can create a dangerous caustic gas. And store your peroxide in its original dark bottle in a cool spot, because light and heat break it down and an old flat bottle won't fizz or work the way it should. Use the right way. That $1 bottle can rescue plants you were ready to give up on. No harsh chemicals required. So before you write off your droopy, gnat-swarmed, rotting plant, give one of these tricks a shot. Try it on your sickest plant and tell us in the comments how it went. We genuinely love hearing your before and afters. And if this saved you a plant or two, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. Your plants will thank you.